I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm worried about Warhammer Plus. Week 1 was good, the content was all great, but it was all consumed within about 5 hours, which is pretty ridiculous when you think about it. And I don't mean just the good stuff was finished in 5 hours, I mean all of it. Learn to plays, battle reports, painting tutorials, and of course the animations, all done. I even dipped my toe into the Warhammer Vault, where you get old issues of White Dwarf and old rulebooks and things like that. And, well, it's all very interesting and I'm glad it's there. I had read just about all of it previously. I do know the lad stuff that I haven't experienced eventually, but it might take a while. I believe Loremasters should have launched by now as well, and there's no sign of that. Although I think that's because Wade Price, who was meant to front the show, is in hospital with collapsed lungs. It is, of course, entirely understandable that they would want their best guy back for this, and I wish Wade all the best in his recovery. So there's no issue there, some things can't be helped. I do look forward to Loremasters, but I'd rather they got it right than change out the presenter at the last minute. Why am I worried? Well, week 2 of Warhammer Plus content just dropped today, and I'm really concerned about the speed in which it can be consumed. There was not a lot at all. Unless there is a drastic ramping up of the amount of content that's delivered every week, I could see Warhammer Plus being a once a week visit and then lying completely unused for the rest of the week, which is quite sad. What I envisioned for Warhammer Plus when I first heard about it was it would be not quite a Netflix thing because that's completely unrealistic, but somewhere that we could go and explore and find new parts of the hobby just on a whim, and it's not looking like that. It looks like as soon as new content comes out, we'll have watched it, and then we'll have a 6-day wait for the next stuff. I fully understand why Games Workshop isn't charging us a standard streaming fee for Warhammer Plus. It's because the content is thin on the ground, and similar quality stuff is available elsewhere on YouTube. So charging a similar price to something like Netflix or Disney Plus would not go down at all well. So when you really think about it, with app access in the exclusive model, we're not really paying for the animations at all. So here's some speculation from me with absolutely no basis in evidence. It's a catch-22. To sustain the investment needed to create enough regular content to charge for animations, they would have to charge a higher price. But they can't charge a higher price because there's not enough regular content coming out and people would feel shortchanged. Does that make any sense? Hopefully it'll hit a tipping point where there's enough stuff on there already. They're bringing in enough new subs to make enough money so that they can bring in new content creators to make more content, and then it'll get going and maybe they can release content a bit more frequently. I'll be happy when they release enough stuff one week so that I can't just watch it in my lunch hour. I know I'm being pretty harsh here, but the second week content drop, as it was called, was very light indeed. I'll go through it as I did with the day 1 stuff, but it won't take long. We'll start with the Blood Angels v Orcs battle report. I thought the energy here was higher than it was in the Ultramarines v Necrons one last week. The back and forth between the players was a lot better this week, although I will never not cringe when I hear grown adults speaking in an orc voice. I've been guilty of it myself, and I still don't know how to say wah properly. It looks like Patrick will be the main presenter every week with another guest joining him. Last week it was Nick Baton and his Ultramarines. This week it was Louise Sugden from the Citadel Masterclass with her orcs. Yet again, it was really well presented. All the overlays and graphics were absolutely fantastic. If they're going to go this direction and have a guest in every week, maybe they should get some famous people in, like Henry Cavill. That would definitely be a draw for a lot of people. There's another masterclass tutorial this week, and it is black armour. Now, I find black armour very tricky to get right, so I was very interested in this one. I didn't actually like the outcome on this one. It just didn't seem right to me. I know it's way above my skill level, but it's probably the worst of the 3 tutorials so far. It's still okay and you might learn something, but not my favourite. And then we come to Angels of Death. I would subscribe for this alone. It is my favourite thing on Warhammer Plus by a country mile. It was only 15 minutes this week, but it was absolutely packed with action and shocks. The intro itself is amazing. It's a sword and it's got blood drops dripping off it, and the blood drops turn into drop pods when they fall far enough. It's great, I love it. I mentioned last time it took me a while to get used to the art style. Well, I'm totally sold on it. It adds so much to the drama. It's been a dream come true of mine to see the Blood Angels in action, and when they're picked out in bright crimson and everything else is dark and black, it just looks incredible. I'm so happy with it. As you can probably tell, I'm a bit of a fan of this one. There are a few more issues of White Dwarf and Curse of the Wolfen rulebook in the Warhammer Vault. Now, this is a really good addition, but this would not sway me to subscribe or not to subscribe. It just doesn't bother me that it's there one way or another. Like I said earlier, I've read most of the recent issues of White Dwarf, and apart from that, there's Warhammer Visions on there, and I bought every issue of that as well, so there's not that much for me yet, but there might be in the future. All in all, even though I knew from Warhammer Community what was coming this week, it really hits home just how little there is when you see it in the app. I know the rollout of content has been carefully paced over the year, but how much are we actually going to see? Is it just going to be 1 or 2 episodes a week? In which case, that's not enough. They need to up their game, they need to do more. So let me know in the comments below what you think about Warhammer Plus. I'd really like to hear from you. Anyway, that's it for another video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.